How you doing, Red Sox fans? Welcome to episode 19 of the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. How's everyone doing? Good evening, everyone. Hello. Welcome. If you are with me here live on YouTube, I appreciate you stopping by tonight. If you are listening to this, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Apple, wherever, welcome and thank you for tuning in to episode 19 of the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. Hope everyone is having a good start to their week. If you don't know, I am a teacher. I had open house tonight. I actually had to stay late at work today, and hey, just getting home a little bit ago, and nice to talk about some Sox tonight. I mean, let's be real. Not a whole lot to talk about, big series over the week. Well, a big game on Saturday over the weekend. And when I say big game, I mean a whole lot of runs, 17 runs on Saturday. That's a season high for the Red Sox. The bats just absolutely exploded. I think it's safe to say, hey, playing a little spoiler for in my opinion, America's team, the Baltimore Orioles. They were coming on strong there in the wild card, and the Red Sox win 2 out of 3. A very costly series for the Baltimore Orioles this past weekend. So nice to see the Red Sox have a little bit of fight in them. And, hey, even though this Red Sox team, they're completely out of it at this point, they got talent on this team. And you don't want to be playing this Red Sox team if you're hunting for a playoff spot. So, at the end of the day, sure, the Red Sox are out of it, but still a good team in my opinion. In the end, this season just did not really come together the way I thought it could have. I wasn't the one that had a lot of expectations coming into this year. I saw a team that had talent, that had a chance, but I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs this year. If you go back to my preseason predictions, I didn't see the Red Sox doing all that much personally. But tonight's episode is not about the 2022 Red Sox. I'm going to take a dive into the 2023 Red Sox. Going to give my thoughts, maybe who are some guys that we should keep around, who are some guys that we should, kind of tip the cap to, say bye-bye, and who are maybe some free agents that we can pay attention to for the offseason, maybe some prospects that could maybe be on the team for next year. I'm not going to do like a complete deep dive. I'm going to save that more for the offseason, but just kind of a quick look at what, get a bit of a head start on some offseason planning. And, but yeah, also everyone, we do have a huge announcement, huge announcement for this episode tonight. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I want more people to trickle on in live on YouTube here, so that way more people can hear the announcement. So, but before I do get into tonight's episode, we got some partners to go over, some sponsors for tonight. And the first one, as always, is BetOnline, our main sponsor. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BLEAV50, BLEAV 50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Also, don't forget, on the channel, we are partners with SeatGeek. If you're looking to go to a game in the final few weeks of the season, absolutely take advantage of my code. With my code HYDE, you get $20 off on your first order with SeatGeek. I'm telling you, there are some good deals out there on SeatGeek. Go check them out. I have found some myself. I wouldn't be partners with SeatGeek if I didn't appreciate the product that they had. Also, don't forget Prize Picks. Yes, we are partners with BetOnline, but we are also partners with Prize Picks on this channel. With Prize Picks, you can play the over-unders. You're not playing against other people. It's a different system from what FanDuel and DraftKings like to use. So Prize Picks, it's a pretty fun twist in the sports betting realm. With Prize Picks, you get a 100% deposit match if you use my code GINGER. So, Everyone, let's get to it here. Let's hold on. What is going on here? What is going on with my screen? There's my screen. Hello, welcome back. All right, so let's just dive in, everyone. Let's just dive in. So if you're with me here on YouTube, you will be able to see my screen. So let's actually get to that here. But really quick, let's actually take a look here at tonight's game. We have a 4-3 Red Sox lead at the moment. So, hey, the Red Sox, they're always going to play the Yankees tough, man. It's always going to be a tough game. Luckily for the Yankees, they have distanced themselves, I think, enough to be able to hang on to this American League East. But Aaron Judge hitting number 56 tonight. He is getting closer and closer to Roger Maris. Oh my goodness. But just before we dive in everything, let's just take a quick look at just the standings at the moment, seeing what's going on in the American League East. The Yankees, they have been picking up the pace a little bit more lately. More of their bats are starting to come alive in that Yankee lineup. And Aaron Judge, he's just been alive the entire year. That guy's going to win the MVP, no doubt. But Tampa, they were coming on strong there. They were looking pretty good. And then they had a series with the Yankees this past weekend, and that was their chance to really get into striking distance of that American League East, and they just completely screwed the pooch on that one. But as of right now, the Yankees have a 5.5 game lead, but the Red Sox are trying to play some spoiler here. I mean, hey, could the Rays maybe go on a run here in the final few weeks of the season? The Rays are up as of right now 2-1 on the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll have to keep track of that. We'll check back by the end of the episode. So let's get into it here. Let's get into it. Let's take a look right now at what we're looking at with the Red Sox currently in 2022 with the final few weeks left of the season. So we just saw Tristan Casas come up recently. Very excited about that. We saw Kike Hernandez sign an extension for next season. I think that was a great move. Absolutely think that was the right move to make. He's been hurt this year. But this is a guy, he's a good clubhouse guy. He brings energy to that team. He plays great defense out there in center field. To me, I didn't really see a guy that could have taken over for him. Jarren Duran, keep that guy out of center field forever. He forever keep him out of center field. Absolutely. Maybe a left fielder, I think, at Fenway would be a better option for Mr. Jarren Duran if he were to come up and get himself together. We'll talk about Jarren Duran in just a little bit. But for right now, I mean, the Red Sox lineup looks pretty good. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I mean, if we're taking a look here at some of the numbers, Xander Bogaerts, he's been fantastic this year. We will be doing an episode at one point, kind of just grading the Red Sox this year. But Xander Bogaerts, he has clearly been the Red Sox best all-around player this year. Now, when you look at someone like Rafi Devers, he's really brought the power. He has way more home runs than Xander Bogaerts this year. He's driven in more runs. But Xander Bogaerts has had the more, I would say, complete game than Rafi Devers. Devers was getting really hot there at one point. And, he had some injuries there, and I feel like he just kind of slowed down at that point. He has not been just right over the last month. But Xander Bogaerts, he has been absolutely fantastic. He has a 6.0 Fangraph WAR. 13 home runs on the year with 66 RBIs. But on the year, he's hitting .319 with a very, very good .387 on base and a .473 slugging with a 141 WRC+. He's also been running the bases rather well this year. Now, he will be the biggest question mark for the Red Sox in the offseason. So that we will talk about that in just a second here. Trevor Story, that was the big signing of the offseason last year. He did miss a lot of time, had the injury there at one. He missed quite a bit of time, but Story, he's had a really interesting year, just an up and down year. When you look at his slash line, it's not great, hitting .238 as of right now with a .303 on base, a .434 slugging. He's got 16 homers. He's got 66 RBIs. He's got 13 stolen bases. But really the true value of Trevor Story this year when he has been on the field has been his defense. He has been a very good defensive player this year. So overall, as of right now, he has a 2.5 Fangraph WAR. So I think a healthy Trevor Story next year. Hopefully he can stay on the field. I think a lot of people might look at this slash line and just be rather disappointed with Story. And yeah, I could say a bit of a disappointment this year, but he's just been really hot and cold. And he had the injury. He was out for a little bit. But I think with Trevor Story, the defense that he brings to this team, and who knows? Who knows what happens with Bogaerts for next year? Who knows? I mean, if he ends up leaving, you can have Story slide over to short. I do think that was a bit of a motivator for Chaim Bloom when they did sign him. I don't know, will they end up keeping him at second if Bogaerts leaves and go after another shortstop? I think that'll be an interesting question. Verdugo. Alex Verdugo's had himself a pretty good year. 286, a 333 on base, a 408 slugging, could be better. But, with Verdugo, he's had his moments. Like, he's been pretty good recently. He was really good in the month of June. I called him Alex Verjungo because he was so hot that month. But other times, he's just been really cold. If we go take a look at the splits with Alex Verdugo, and again, he has been pretty good lately. He has definitely been a catalyst. Bogaerts and Devers really went cold there for a little while. JD Martinez also, but Verdugo was someone that really heated up. And getting back to my point here, in the first couple of months of the season, he really got off to a slow start. But then in the month of June, he was hitting 337 that month. July, hitting around 280 for the month. August, he was fantastic in the month of August. And this month, he's been great. So definitely more. He came alive there once the weather started to get a little warmer. The first couple of months really kind of did him in on, a potentially very good slash line. But Verdugo, I've been really happy with what he's been doing in the second half. He's been just such a different hitter in the second half, hitting 330 in the second half compared to 262 over the first half. So luckily he did come alive there in the month of June. But I have enjoyed Alex Verdugo this year, and I definitely think he will be a key player for the Red Sox next year. Other than that, really there's not offensively for the Red Sox. You're not getting a ton of production. You would like to see more production elsewhere. I do think Bogaerts and Devers were really the stars of the show at the end of the day, but once those guys really slumped, you just weren't really getting a whole lot else, from other aspects of this team. You had Kike Hernandez out for a while. JD Martinez hasn't really been that guy this year like he used to be. Go back to that 2018 season with JD Martinez. Oh my, what a great year that was for JD Martinez. But look at the home runs here, 11 home runs, 52 RBIs, and a slugging of 427. A good on base guy, 344 this year, 274 average. But, really wasn't the JD Martinez that we've really been used to. Bobby Dahlback really struggled this year. Just not getting a whole lot of production. Christian Arroyo, he was out. He was up and down with some injuries this year, but he has been a pretty solid offensive player as of late. Frankie Cordero, he had his moments this year. Dahlback really struggled, like I just said. Hosmer hasn't really done anything since coming over. He's been also hurt at times. Jackie Bradley Jr. was DFA'd. Casas, I'm not really looking at Casas very much. He's just getting his feet wet as of right now. But the Red Sox, other than, really Bogaerts, Devers, Verdugo, very good in the second half. Not a whole lot. The Red Sox offense, you got good bats there. You got some good names, but really you're not seeing a ton from the offense. And I do think you are going to see Chaim Bloom try to address this. And to me, if you're losing Bogaerts, so you know what? Let's just start with Bogaerts here. Let's go to the Red Sox payroll. If you're with me here on YouTube, you can see the Red Sox payroll here on Fangraphs. So Bogaerts is the big one. He has the option to opt out after this year, and most likely he is going to. He's a 6-win player. I mean, if we go to Bogaerts as of right now, taking a look at his value, if you go to Fangraphs, there is a tab called value. If you go to a player's page, there's a tab that says value. If you click on it, it'll bring you to the very bottom of the page, and it'll actually say what his production is worth. And as of right now, with a few weeks left to go, Xander Bogaerts has been worth $48.2 million. Now, factor in age, factor in, projections as well. He's not going to be making $48 million a year. That's crazy. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Juan Soto's not even making that. I don't know. Will Juan Soto get $50 million? I don't know. Bogaerts is definitely not going to be getting $48 million. Now, with Bogaerts, I could see, something along the lines of maybe 27 to 30 million per year. I mean, especially for a shortstop, and a good one at that, a good offensive shortstop. I absolutely could see Bogaerts getting that. So to me, Bogaerts is going to opt out. He's not, the fact that he has the opt out, that's his choice to opt out, and he's making $20 million a year. It only makes financial sense for him to opt out. And I will not be mad at him one bit for making a personal choice like that, because obviously he deserves to get paid. And he deserves to go test the market. So this is why they put the opt-out in the deal. So he could exercise it at this point if he was worth it. And obviously he is. So Bogaerts at this point, I definitely think it's going to be interesting. To me, I'm bringing this guy back. You have to. I just don't see how you don't bring him back. Now, the question is, if you were to let him go, to me, the best option at this point would be Trevor Story sliding into the shortstop spot. I don't really see where else you could turn to in the immediate future. There's not really any prospects that are if Marcelo Meyer was ready, I'd be completely okay with Bogaerts leaving. But he's not. He's still very far away. Nick York is a second baseman, but if York was even close to ready, you could maybe think about the possibility of Story and then York, but that's not even a question. York is completely not ready as of right now. You don't really have a guy that can slide in, that's ready in the minor leagues. Matthew Lugo, he's far away. You do have a David Hamilton who has been just setting the world on fire with his speed in the minor leagues. If we go take a look at David Hamilton, let me pull him up here. David Hamilton, this guy has been stealing bases left and right. He has 66 stolen bases. So it's possible he's in Double-A right now. So I don't know. I don't really see him being the guy at this point. Still a little further away. I think, to me, with Hamilton, I think you're looking at him maybe as a call-up for next year, that he could come off the bench, give you some speed, be more of a defensive replacement. Because really, if you're looking at his numbers, he's hitting .240 with a .332 on base, a .729 OPS overall, 12 homers. Really, to me, Hamilton is more of a guy that, he can play some infield off the bench. He can give you some speed. He is going to be extremely useful in the future for the Red Sox just because of the speed that he brings, incredibly fast. But in the end, to me, he's the closest guy that could possibly take over for Bogaerts. But even then, he's still not the guy that would take over for Bogaerts. So really the best option. Now, because here's the thing. If I go to the shortstops for next year, right, or for the offseason, you got some really good names here. You got Trey Turner. You got Dansby Swanson. You even have the possibility of a Tim Anderson, who could, the White Sox could decline the club option, but I don't see why they would. He would only be making $12.5 million. I think they're going to exercise that. I don't see why they wouldn't. You got some other names here, like a Jose Iglesias that you could possibly sign to maybe a 1-year deal. You could have Iglesias and Story maybe bouncing back and forth in the middle infield. That's a possibility. But losing Bogaerts at this point, that is just, that would be a blow, considering he has been their best player this year. A 6.0 Fangraph WAR. There's not a lot of players that are, putting up those kind of numbers. If we're looking at the overall leaderboards here on Fangraphs, Xander Bogaerts is currently 7th overall in Fangraph WAR. To me, I think if you're the Red Sox, I think you got to pay this guy. I think it is going to come down to, will Bogaerts sign a contract that the Red Sox, I think it'll come down to length, if anything. I think you got to pay Bogaerts. To me, he definitely deserves a raise. I think it's going to come down to, will he be okay with taking maybe 5 years? I would be, I don't know. I just wonder, because if you look at Trevor Story, when they signed him, Trevor Story and Bogaerts are right around the same age. They signed Story to a 6-year deal. So, I mean, could they just redo a 6-year deal for Bogaerts? But then again, I understand you don't want to be, looking too ahead to the future. But you got some guys, your top prospect is your future shortstop. I don't know. Like, I think with Bogaerts, I wonder if it comes down to, will the Red Sox offer him a 6-year deal? I think it is going to come down to the years. I just wonder. Yeah, they gave Story a 6-year deal. There is an opt-out after 2025. It's a little bit of a tricky contract, but because there's some different things going on with the opt-outs there. Because if he because it says here you have the 2028, you have a club option in 2028. I mean, that's very far away, so don't worry about that. But he has the opt-out after 2025 that the club can void if they exercise the 2028 option. That would void that option in 2025. So it's interesting with that. But you could offer, I think Bogaerts, he's probably going to be looking, I would imagine, 6 to 8 years. I would think that's what he's going to be looking for. Will the Red Sox want to go to that length? I think they would be okay with paying him. I think they would be okay with, bumping his salary up to, 27, 28, maybe 30 million, possibly. I just don't know if they would do the years. So here's the difference with Trevor Story. Trevor Story, you're paying $20 million this year, $20 million in 2023, and his salary only increases by $2.5 million in 2024 and 2025, and then it bumps up to 25 in 26 and 27. With Bogaerts, you're probably looking at, I mean, he's going to be more expensive than Trevor Story. Trevor Story, at the end of the day, is a 6-year, $140 million deal. That's not completely breaking the bank. Bogaerts is breaking the bank. You're going to be breaking a lot of banks with the contract that he's going to get. I wonder, I think it's going to come down to, I think the Red Sox will offer him something. I just don't think they're going to offer him a lot of years. I think there could be a team out there like the Chicago Cubs, maybe. I know Horner's been good, but he has versatility. You could maybe bring in someone like a Bogaerts, and you can move Horner around. It's possible. You got other teams out there that would like to have a Xander Bogaerts. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know. The Baltimore Orioles, they could possibly go that route. What a number on the Red Sox that would be if he ended up signing with someone like Baltimore. Now, if I were to take a look here at the team stats for shortstops, I mean, let's say, I don't know, there's also, you got the Dodgers. If they lose Trey Turner, you could bring in someone like a Bogaerts. If, I don't know, probably not the Atlanta Braves, because you usually don't see them going that crazy with the money. But if you're looking at shortstop production this year, some teams, at the bottom, I mean, the Angels, I don't know, man. I don't know if the Angels would do that. To me, they've gone that route before, and that has not really worked out for them. I just don't know. The Giants, you got Crawford, but he's starting to kind of wind down. He's not had a great season. Could the Giants get involved with the Xander Bogaerts? I mean, if I'm looking at some other teams here that are kind of closer to the bottom, I mean, again, Baltimore, they're 20th overall in shortstop production this year. Could you maybe see the Phillies do something there? Maybe, I know you got Stott there, but Stott you can move around. Maybe the Phillies could get involved. it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting. You know, you got St. Louis could be interesting. You know, I mean, I know you had Edman move over to short this year. I mean, he is versatile. That's the thing. Like that's the thing. There's not a lot of teams that really have like a slam dunk kind of a fit for a shortstop, but they have guys that are versatile and you can move them around. Paul DeJong, he has been hitting for some power since getting called back up from the minor leagues, but has really not been an amazingly productive player for the whole year. You know, the Cardinals could get involved. So basically my point here is that with Bogaerts, there, I think, could be some teams that are pretty motivated. But then again, how motivated will some of these teams be? And that's maybe where the Red Sox have a bit of an advantage. Because let's be real, if the Red Sox really wanted to move Bogaerts at the deadline, they could have. I don't think they had a good suitor for him. I just don't think there was really enough of a trade for him at the deadline. So it's because there wasn't really a slam dunk kind of a fit for him. And, you know, teams were also a little weary of the opt-out, but still, you could have had him as some kind of a rental. I don't know. I just wonder if the Red Sox, they're kind of just playing the leverages a little bit. I think what the Red Sox are going to do, I think they'll go 5 years. I could see them going like 5 years, maybe like a 140, 150 kind of a deal. You know, 5 over 150 I think could be good. But would Bogaerts want to do that? You know, I think Bogaerts might be going out there and seeing if he can go get himself a long-term deal. If it were me, I'm bringing this guy back. I don't see how you can let this guy go. I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, I'm seeing in the chat here, has Aaron Judge hit another home run? Oh my, Aaron Judge has hit his 57th home run to tie the game. Oh my. In the top of the 8th here, Aaron Judge has hit his 57th home run. Let's actually go take a look here. Yankees single season home run leaders. So let's go pull this up here. Alrighty, if you're with me here on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm pulling, where are the home runs? Home runs. So as you can see here, Roger Maris with 61. Aaron Judge, this is not counted it says 55 right here, but he has just hit his 57th home run. He is 4 home runs away from breaking the all-time Yankee record of 61 home runs. And let's actually go take a look here. American League single season home run record. So we know Bonds had 73 back in 2001. I mean, my goodness, I know we're talking Red Sox here, but my God, Barry Bonds was so good. I don't understand it. But Roger Maris is not only the single season home run leader for the Yankees, he is also the single season home run leader in the American League. So Aaron Judge is not just chasing after Yankee history. He's chasing after American League history. He is 4 away. What a crazy year he's been having, man. I know we're talking Red Sox here, and I'm talking Yankees right now, but my God, he has just been really good. And hey, what a clutch home run too, tying the game in the top of the 8th. Are you kidding me? But let's get back to it here. Talking 2023 Red Sox, you got to bring him back because you don't have really an immediate guy other than Trevor Story. Now, let me rephrase. You got to make an effort to bring him back. I think so. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to what Bogaerts is going to want to do and what kind of contracts that he has. I think you need to make a goodwill effort to bring this guy back. But let's say it doesn't work out. Let's say the Red Sox, they come up short with a little bit of money. So I think the best move would be to move Story over to short. He was a shortstop before. He's played second this year. How will his arm be? That was a question last offseason, that the arm wasn't maybe looking too good, but he's had a full year. I think he'll end up being fine. Now, you have a couple of decent options for second base. You got someone like a Colton Wong that has a club option. I would love me some Colton Wong. What a great defense up the middle that would be. You got Story at short and then Colton Wong at second. I mean, that would be disgusting. Are you kidding me? You got someone like a Cesar Hernandez. His power is really turned on this year. Someone like a Donovan Solano. I don't know if that's really the guy. You got an Adam Frazier. I don't know if his left-handed bat would really fit very well at Fenway. I'm just saying, man. I would love, if you're going to get rid of Bogarts, it's going to be pretty hard to replace that offensive production. But if you could bring in Colton Wong, if they do decline the club option there, my, oh my, that defense would just be absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. We have a super chat coming in from Joe Cronin. He says the Yankees are stanky. My goodness. The Yankees have been pretty stanky in the last month or month and a half or whatever, but they have been really turning it on here over the last week. It's a good team. If they can get themselves right, fully healthy, playoff time, I think you could see a Yankee championship. I mean, I hate to say it. But I don't know. But I agree with you. The Yankees are stanky, Mr. Joe Cronin. Also, Joe, you're doing a great job lately on, all the wrestling coverage, man. It's been a pretty fun time in wrestling as of late. Any wrestling fans in the chat, please go subscribe to Joe Cronin. He has a great show. What is tonight? Tuesday? Was last night Monday night? Yeah, I agree with you. Kind of a, Monday night's show last night, Raw. I'd probably say about a 5.5. That seems about right. And it's good moments, but kind of a snooze fest for the most part. Anyway, Joe, thank you so much for your donation. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I know you, I'm sorry about the dog passing away, and I trust me, man. I know a thing or two. I've had a few dogs that I grew up with pass away. It's tough, man. And hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. But yeah, man, thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate you. Anyway, let's get back to the Red Sox here. So, Bogarts, you need to make a goodwill effort. I think the best course of action, if he does end up leaving, you got to go for a second baseman and move Story over to short. That's at least what I'm thinking as of right now, because there's no prospects or other players that could really slide in. You could have Story go to short, and maybe you could have Arroyo play second. But to me, I look at Arroyo as more of a utility kind of a guy. So that is just me, though. Now, let's take a look here at other parts of the payroll for next year. You have JD Martinez coming off the books. I definitely think JD Martinez, it's time to tip your cap to JD Martinez. Thank you for the 2018 season. Thank you for that World Series championship. It's been a fun ride for the last few years, but I think it's time to maybe move on from JD Martinez. What you could do, an interesting possibility, if you were to lose Bogarts, you could move Devers over to the DH spot, and you could go after a third baseman. That is very possible. If we go take a look at some possible candidates in the free agent market, you got some guys here. Now, Nolan Arenado, I don't see him declining that player option. Even if he did, I don't know. I mean, that right-handed bat would be fantastic at Fenway Park, don't get me wrong. You do have a Justin Turner who has had a pretty good season. That's someone. I don't know if he would leave the Dodgers, though. Longoria, he's been too much of an injury problem. You do have someone like a Joey Wendell. I would like him more off the bench, though. So, could you maybe go to the trade market for a third baseman? If you take a look at some prospects, possibly. Blaze Jordan, as much as I would love for this guy to be ready, I don't know if, that's not going to be happening. I would love that, though. My goodness. You got Alex Benelis in that trade for Jackie Bradley Jr., but he's in AA right now. He is hitting for some power this year, 25 home runs down in the minor leagues. But again, just a little too far away. So you don't really have anyone that could immediately step into third. Now, one interesting option, could be someone like, I don't know, Matt Duffy is an interesting one. He's shown flashes in his career. That's possible. You got Brandon Drury, who's had himself a pretty good year this year. That is someone that could slide over, maybe to third. So there is someone, a Jace Peterson. Let me actually pull up Jace Peterson. He's actually had himself a pretty decent year. What the heck did I just type in? I just completely botched what I typed in. But Jace Peterson. Let's go to Fangraphs here. Here we go. So he's had himself a pretty good year for the Milwaukee Brewers. Taking a look at his numbers. So a left-handed bat. You know, it's not amazing by any means. He's hitting .255 with a .329 on base. You got a .418 slugging, a .107 WRC plus, 8 home runs. Not amazing by any means, but what he will give you is good defense. He will give you some good defense. He's played 74 games at third this year, and he's also had versatility. He's played in the outfield. He's played at second base. So I wonder if that is a guy that you could see Bloom go after. You know, could the Red Sox maybe take an approach where if they can't replace Bogaerts in terms of offense, could they maybe go like a very defense-heavy kind of a route? You know, I don't know. I mean, you're going to be losing a lot of offense. If you lose Bogaerts and then Martinez, that's a lot of offense that you're losing. Could you afford to lose that much offense? I don't know, man. Could they go with more of an approach of a defense pitching heavy kind of a team? And then hopefully, you know, some of these other guys can really step up. I don't know, but a team without Bogaerts to me, that's not a very fun sight. You know, you'd have some decent hitters here, but I don't know. You know, Story and Devers in the middle of your lineup. I don't know. It doesn't sound very promising. I mean, sure, Devers, I love me some Devers, but Story, I don't know. He's had a down year offensively. Sure, a healthy Kike Hernandez would be nice. Could you possibly bring back Tommy Pham? I don't know. I mean, he's been all right with the Red Sox. I haven't minded him, but I wonder if, you know, you can just kind of, you know, say, you know, hey, thanks for the half season, but, you know, we're going to kind of go in a different direction. It'd be interesting. Without Bogaerts and Martinez, it'd be pretty hard to replace this production. I don't know if the Red Sox would be in a position to really trade for a big bat, because, you know, they're still improving that farm. So, I don't know. It's not looking very promising, man. If you're losing Bogaerts, it's going to be pretty hard to replace that offense. But again, with JD Martinez, I do think it would be best to move on just because it opens up that DH spot. Unless he comes back for, you know, something cheap, you know, I think he would have to take a bit of a cut in the salary there. You know, and who knows, maybe see what he can do, see if he can bounce back more for next year. But I don't know, 35 years old now. I don't know. Nathan Eovaldi, I would like to bring back. I would like to bring him back. I think he's dealt with, you know, some injuries this year. But I think if you could have him back on like a, you know, 1 year kind of a deal, kind of like with Kike Hernandez, I would be okay with Nathan Eovaldi coming back. Absolutely. Michael Wacha, absolutely. Absolutely, I want Michael Wacha back. This guy's he's been fantastic this year. I mean, look at the numbers that Wacha's been putting up. He has found a home here in Boston, and that's what I'm saying. I wonder, you know, could the Red Sox go more of a pitching defense heavy kind of a team for next year? Because you picked up a guy like Wacha here, and because of some really good defense with the Red Sox in the infield this year, he has really had himself a nice year. A 2.69 ERA. A 3.63 FIP, wins above replacement on Fangraphs at 1.9. He had the dead arm there for a little while, but this is Michael Wacha's best year ever since 2017. I mean, by far. You know, I've really enjoyed Wacha. You know, not amazing numbers by any means, 7.5 strikeouts per 9, but he's keeping the walks and the home runs down. I don't know. I would love to have him back. Absolutely. I definitely think, you know, maybe a 2-year deal. Why not? 2 years, maybe like $20 million. I could see something like that. Rich Hill, honestly, I think it's up to Rich Hill. I'd bring him back. Why not? You know, he's been fine. He's been making his starts. I mean, sure, he's had a couple injuries, but I think Hill's been fine for the most part. If you want to come back on like a, you know, same kind of a salary, 1 year, $4 or $5 million, I guess I'm all right with that. Strom, I would like to have Strom back. I think he's been a really nice addition for this Red Sox bullpen this year. A 3.11 ERA, a 2.99 FIP. Let's take a look at the splits. He has actually he's had his injuries in the second half, so he's only pitched 10 innings overall in the second half. But numbers are looking really good. A 1.80 ERA, holding batters to a 111 average in the second half compared to 248 in the first half. So Strom, yeah, I would like to bring Strom back. Absolutely. I think that's a good left-handed arm, and he's got good stuff out there. I'd like to bring him back. He's got 10 strikeouts per 9, 2.5 walks per 9, keeping the home runs down, under a home run per 9. Yeah, absolutely. Strom, I definitely would like to bring back. So let's go to the rest of this here. We got James Paxton. He's got the club option. I wonder. So or actually does he have a player option? Hold on. It says 2023-24 club options. Player option for 23 if the club option is... okay, so the Red Sox would have to exercise the next 2 years, and if they don't, he would have the player option. So I think if the Red Sox decline the club, I think he would accept the 2023 option. It's $13 million. I mean, you're getting $13 million after not pitching this year. I think James Paxton will be back. It's a matter of if he's healthy or not. But you can't really look at him as a guy that's going to be, holding down a rotation spot because you just don't know what you're getting out of him. But those are the free agents that I would like to bring back. Plawecki also, I forgot to mention him. I'd be okay with Plawecki leaving. I'm actually okay, if you just go with a platoon of like a Connor Wong and a Reese McGuire. Connor Wong, I think, has some offensive potential there. With a Reese McGuire, he's giving you really good defense. I'd be okay with a Wong-McGuire platoon at catcher. I think that'd be pretty nice. And then you got, just again, a whole bunch of guys that are going to be in arbitration that'll get some raises. But those are what I would do with our free agents. So now, what could the Red Sox do in terms of, maybe some players that you could add? But before I do get to that, everyone, we have an announcement. I've been waiting to announce this ever since I got the call to be able to officially announce this. I'm excited to announce this. Everyone, we have been doing this podcast now for how long now? Couple of months? Few months now, I would say. It's been pretty fun. I love talking all things baseball, of course, but I love being able to just focus on my Red Sox on some nights. It's very nice. Now, the one thing I did say when we first started the podcast was we were going to have a co-host at some point, a former Red Sox player. We weren't really sure who that was going to be. We were kind of looking around. The guys over at the BLEAV network, they have been fantastic, and they've been making calls, trying to find a co-host. We had a couple options at one point, and but now I can officially say that we have a co-host for the show. Officially signed on, has signed the contract. I'm excited to announce, everyone, that our new co-host of the Believe in Red Sox podcast will be former Red Sox, Ellis Burks. I am very excited about this. I think Ellis Burks has been, to me, kind of an overlooked player in the game of baseball. Ellis Burks, man, started his career with the Red Sox, and he was actually very solid. Let's actually go pull up some numbers here. But again, excited to announce Ellis Burks will be the new co-host of the Believe in Red Sox podcast. And I am very honored to be able to say that because to me, Ellis Burks is an absolute pro. Sharing the screen here if you're with me here on YouTube. Ellis Burks, just an absolute pro. People in Boston, he started off his career in Boston. He ended up going elsewhere. He played with the Rockies, played with the Giants. Actually, he had some pretty good years. If you go take a look at some of the years that Ellis Burks had, if you go take a look at his 1996 season with the Colorado Rockies, he finished third in MVP voting that year. He had 40 home runs that year, 128 RBIs. He had a 639 slugging that year. Hit 344, the 408 on base. Had a disgusting season in the year of 1996. 2000 with the San Francisco Giants. He was also really good that year. Hit 344 with a 419 on base, a 606 slugging, had 24 home runs and 96 RBIs. He missed some time that year too. 122 games played. Ellis Burks has had some really solid seasons. He started his career with the Red Sox from 1987 to 1992. He finished 13th in MVP voting in 1990. But actually, Ellis Burks, his best year with the Red Sox came in 1988. Over 144 games. He was 23 years old. He hit 294 that year with a 367 on base, a 481 slugging, a 134 WRC plus, 18 homers, 92 RBIs, 25 stolen bases. This was a guy, he was an all-around good player for the Red Sox in his early years. Ended up going to the White Sox in 1993. Then he went to the Rockies. Ended up playing with the Giants as well. Played with Cleveland there from 01 to 03. But what was really cool was Ellis Burks ended up finishing his career with the Red Sox in 2004. He only played 11 games that year, so he did retire after that year. But it was really cool that this guy, he had some really good seasons, started his career with the Red Sox, but then he was able to finish his career in Boston and get a World Series ring. Ellis Burks has always been a bit of a fan favorite with the Red Sox, even though he didn't play his whole career there. Just a really stand-up guy, a really solid guy. And also, he is with NESN as of right now. He is one of the analysts there. He is on the broadcast team, talking some baseball with guys like Jim Rice, Tim Wakefield, just having a ball over on NESN, the New England Sports Network. Ellis Burks, man, I'm just very excited about it. Just a very stand-up guy, just a very solid guy. And I think what I'm going to like about having Ellis Burks on the show here, talking with me and talking with all of you, is that, he has just a good feel for the game. He was always just a well-respected player in the game of baseball. And I think he's going to have a lot of great stories to be able to share. And he's just also just going to give great insight to the game of baseball as well. And hey, Ellis Burks, man, I'm very excited about it. And again, I'm very happy to announce Ellis Burks, the new co-host of the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. And, I want to thank the guys over, at BLEAV that, made it happen. And I want to thank Ellis as well for, taking a chance and doing this. And we definitely want to see where this can go. I'm very honored to have the opportunity to share this show with such a pro like Ellis Burks. So everyone, hope you're excited for it. We're going to be talking some baseball. And we got the offseason coming up. What better time to have a new co-host for the show when we got the offseason coming up? We all love the offseason. We all love the free agencies, or free agent signings, the trades, the rumors. And I don't see who better to talk about that than with Mr. Ellis Burks. So still waiting on when he will be hopping on for the first time. I would imagine maybe next week at some point. We're going to have to work that out. But absolutely, everyone, that is my announcement. Ellis Burks, the new co-host of the show. But let's get back to the topic. Here. Now, who are some free agents that maybe the Red Sox could pursue? So, again, when it comes to Chaim Bloom, you all know how Chaim Bloom is. He's looking for the bargains. He loves him some Ross dress for less. He likes to go find him some discounts. He likes to go find some deals out there. He likes to go find some diamonds in the rough. If he goes on Amazon, he's not looking at the top option for whatever he's buying. He's going to scroll down. He's going to do his research, and he's going to find an option that is just as good as the top selling option on Amazon, but he's going to get another one for cheap, right? And it'll end up being just as good of a buy. That's exactly what Chaim Bloom does. Now, if you're looking at some of the top guys, so it's kind of still a little wait and see here, because we got some guys who have player options, like a Nolan Arenado. Chris Sale actually has a player option. I think he will exercise that. DeGrom is one that's people are starting to wonder what he's going to do. I don't know, man. I'm thinking if you're DeGrom, Dude, you got to exercise that player option, man. You got to exercise it. Verlander has the player option. Carlos Rodon, I would imagine out of all these guys, Rodon is going to be the guy that exercises that player option. He's going to be quite a bit of money. I don't see Bloom going after him if he does become a free agent, just because he's had the health risk and he's going to be a lot of money. Bloom is not afraid to go after guys that have had health problems. You know, look at James Paxton. There's one. Look at Michael Wacha as well. He's not afraid to go after those guys, but he usually goes after those guys for cheap. I don't think he's going to pay someone like Carlos Rodon. With the year he's having, he's very possibly going to win that Cy Young. You know, again, if you're looking at the shortstop market, I don't see him going after someone like a Trey Turner or possibly a Dansby Swanson. To me, Bogarts is the guy that you bring back. I think you need to really make a good effort to bring him back. You got some other guys here. Noah Syndergaard, he's making $21 million this year. I don't think he's going to make that much. But who knows? You know, Syndergaard, he has not really relied on, you know, strikeouts and velocity so much this year, more on the infield. Could you see a Noah Syndergaard come to Boston, you know, have some good infield defense behind him? Could that possibly be a fit? Maybe. Probably don't see Charlie Morton here. I mean, the big one here, Aaron Judge. I don't know, man. Aaron Judge at Fenway Park would be absolutely amazing. I just don't see Bloom giving him that much money. I could see Aaron Judge either staying with the Yankees, which I think it's crazy that the Yankees did not work something out with him. I mean, I don't know. I know they made a pretty good effort, but my God, Aaron Judge, he's going to get himself some moolah in the offseason. So yeah, I don't see Bloom doing that. Could you, I was going to say maybe some options here, like probably not Brandon Belt because that's a first baseman. I think you're going with Casas there at first. So Hosmer is going to be interesting. Could he, I would imagine he exercises that player option of $13 million. But I wonder if the Red Sox just end up trying to trade him away, you know, because at this point, his contract is basically paid by the Padres. So you could involve him in some kind of a deal maybe. Would a team want him? I'm not really sure about that. So I wonder if Hosmer is going to be in Boston for the long term. But then again, if you don't have JD Martinez, you could just have Hosmer and Devers, you know, and then, you know, Casas there at first. You could do a bit of a rotation there. So I could definitely see Hosmer staying for next year. Adam Wainwright, probably not. I don't see him leaving the Cardinals to go to another team. He's probably going to retire after this year. I don't see him coming out of retirement to go sign with Boston. So nope. Nathan Eovaldi, like I said, I would like to have him come back for another year. I think that'd be pretty nice. Kershaw, he's never going to leave the Dodgers. I thought he was going to go to the Rangers last year. Nope, didn't happen. You know, Turner would be pretty fun. I just don't see him leaving the Dodgers. So I don't know. I mean, you got some other guys here. I'll be honest with you. I know you got kind of a lot of outfielders at the moment with the Red Sox. You know, you got Verdugo there as a, Pham, I would imagine, is probably going to leave. One guy I actually would not mind the Red Sox to go after. He's getting up there in age a little bit, but Michael Brantley. I would love Michael Brantley, a good on base guy. I wouldn't mind that at all. I know he has some injury risk, but Brantley would be, I think, a pretty solid player. If we keep going down the list here, you got some interesting names, someone like a Joey Gallo. I don't know. Probably not, I would imagine. Probably not. Someone like a Luis Severino. He's got health risk, but I don't know, will the Yankees exercise that club option? And again, you got someone like a Josh Bell here. I don't know, though, because you already have a bit of a logjam there at the corners. You got some interesting bat, and maybe someone like an Adam Duvall, maybe for the bench. He's a guy that has power, maybe a right-handed bat at Fenway Park like that. Maybe like some kind of a fourth outfielder I could see. Colton Wong, I think, would be really interesting, just depending on what happens with Xander Bogaerts. I would die laughing if the Red Sox brought Gary Sanchez in, because I could honestly see Bloom doing something like that. I really could. I don't think it'll happen, but I could absolutely see Bloom making like a whack move like that, bringing in Sanchez with that power, and you can bring him into Fenway. I don't know. Would I want that? I'm not saying I would want that. I could see Bloom going out of the box like that and maybe pulling something off. Benintendi, I don't see returning to the Red Sox. I think that is done. Could you maybe see someone like a Jake Odorizzi, for some rotation depth? They were connected with him a couple of years ago, or last offseason, or sorry. But yeah, I don't see that. Where was that? So he has he's got a $6.5 million player option. I don't know. I don't really see that happening. I don't know. But would he exercise that? It's possible. But I could, maybe. I don't know. That's interesting with Odorizzi. Would he exercise the 6.5? Maybe he thinks he can get some more out on the market. I don't know. You got some other guys here. Trevor May could be an interesting option for the bullpen. Wouldn't mind that. You got, again, Tommy Pham. I would think maybe it's probably just, at this point, you might as well just move on from him. You got him back. You basically got him for free, to replace the offensive production that they traded away. I don't know. You got some other guys here, like a Jerickson Profar has a player option. A Taijuan Walker has a player option. I could see maybe Bloom going after someone like that. Again, he's not afraid to go after guys with health risk, but he is, if they're cheap. I could see Walker being not really like a break the bank kind of an option. Andrew Chafin would be a nice addition free agency wise for the bullpen. You got guys here, but really the top guys, I don't see Bloom really going after. I could see him going more after guys that, he's going to fill value, where he can, but without breaking the bank. So if you are going to lose Bogaerts this year, Bogaerts, again, that's a 6-win player as of right now. So let's say, how do you replace 6 wins? That's the big one. With a Jace Peterson, could you bring him in? Let's say you brought in, and let's say, JD Martinez is out. You move Devers to more of a designated hitter. He can play some third as well. But let's say you bring in Jace Peterson for third base. Well, as of right now, he's a 2.3 Fangraph WAR. So there would be 2 wins right there. And maybe if you brought in someone like a Colton Wong this year, I don't think he's had a great year overall, especially offensively. He's been okay offensively. 245 batting average with 331 on base. But he's got a 1.6 wins above replacement. Actually, funny enough, Colton Wong and his defense this year have not really been that great. Funny enough, he's having his worst defensive season ever. I don't know if maybe there's like some kind of an injury going on there, but that's very unlike him to have numbers like that defensively. Like, what is going on here? Let's pull this up. This year, he has -4 defensive runs saved. His UZR is so bad. Is he like, I'm imagining there is something going on with him injury-wise, because that is very unlike him to put up these kind of numbers defensively. So, but then again, I could see Bloom maybe going after him. He could use that as leverage, be like, oh, well, your defense was kind of bad, but, maybe not offer him as much, see if maybe he'll take a bit of a deal. But with Wong, he's got a 1.6 WAR on Fangraphs as of right now. But if you get that defense going again, because again, this is just 2021 as well. His defense has actually been dropping off since 2019. It went from 5.5 in 2019 to 3.1 in 2020. But then again, that was a shortened season, so I guess it didn't really drop off. But 2021, it was not really all that great, a 0.9, and now it's a -6.7. So I'm thinking there's something going on with him. So I've missed it. I don't know if there's something going on with him, maybe in his lower body or something, but I could see Bloom taking advantage of something like that. So again, with Bogaerts, you're not going to be able to replace him with one player. You're going to have to replace him in other ways. But then again, really, how are you going to get better as a team? Because if you're having to replace Bogaerts with 2 to 3 players, well then, but you're not getting really better as a team, right? You're just kind of back to where you were from the start, unless if they feel like they can really get a lot out of these guys. Like Wong, you could really get that defense going again. You know, if you just really try to squeeze as much as you can. And then if you go, maybe you could look at some pitching here. I definitely think the Red Sox could use a pitcher, because if you're looking at the rotation as of right now, you got a rotation of Waka, Hill, Pivetta, and Bayo. Evaldi, I would like for him to come back. Sale, hopefully this guy is healthy. And you're going to get Tanner Houck back as well. So I definitely think you can add a pitcher. I would love that. Now, who do you add? If we're just looking at, as of right now, just straight up unrestricted free agents, so like not counting someone like a Carlos Rodon, you're not really seeing like these amazing options as of right now. I mean, again, you got someone like a Syndergaard. Heaney could be interesting. He's had some health issues, but Heaney has actually been a pretty decent option. And the one thing with Andrew Heaney as well is he has some pretty good advanced metrics. If you go to his page on Baseball Savant, let's take a look here. While that loads, let's actually pull up his numbers. He has a 2.84 ERA. He's got a 4.12 FIP, but he's striking out over 13 guys per 9, 2 walks per 9. The home runs, he's been bitten by the home run ball this year. With Heaney, he does have some pretty good advanced numbers. He's striking out a lot of guys while not walking a lot of guys, so the strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good. He's got good spin rate. He's got good chase rate. I could see Bloom really enjoying some of these numbers and bringing them in. And if we look at the movement on some of his pitches here, his four-seamer has a ton of horizontal movement, a ton of run on it. Other than that, not much else. His changeup was really good in 2021, but this year, his changeup is still pretty good. I don't know. I could see Bloom maybe looking at someone like him. Probably wouldn't cost a whole lot, but again, he has missed some time. He's only had 12 starts this year. But then again, I could see Bloom doing that, because you can get him for cheaper. So, I mean, if I'm looking at some other guys, Tyone is a guy, you got Kluber. I mean, Manaea, probably not. Syndergaard, I don't know. There's not really a whole lot of options when it comes to pitching. So, I think for what the Red Sox, I think they're going to kind of do what they did at the deadline. I don't see them making really a whole lot of splashes. I could see them making moves, trying to put a competitive team on the field, see if they can get a lot out of these guys. And I think they're just still waiting for a lot of these top prospects to, start to graduate to the major league level. Casas is here. Bayo is here. So I don't think these guys are going to be on this list at some point next year. You have someone like a Kadeni Rafaela. He's had a really good year in the minor leagues this year. He has been hitting for power. He's been driving in runs. He's been stealing bases. I don't like the strikeouts all that much. I'm talking about pitching here. We got someone like a Brian Mata, who's been doing well since coming back from Tommy John. Brandon Walter, I believe he's out with an injury right now, but he kind of flew through the minor leagues. So that's a name to look out for. You got some guys down here. Now, someone like a Thad Ward has been pretty decent in the minor leagues this year. You got Frank Hermann. This is a guy for the bullpen. If I'm just paying attention to the bullpen, look out for Frank Hermann next year. He's had really good numbers. A 2.77 ERA, 63 strikeouts over 48 and 2/3 innings. He's been strictly coming out of the bullpen down in the minors. As of right now, he is with the Woo Sox in AAA. So Hermann, I definitely think, is a guy to keep a lookout for that bullpen next year. I really think as of right now, that is pretty much what Bloom is going to be doing. I just don't see him making any big splashes in free agency. Maybe some kind of a trade, possibly. Now, I wonder, could you maybe see Jarren Durant as a possible trade chip? Hasn't really worked out, but I could see a lot of teams thinking that hey, this is a guy who has a ton of talent. Maybe you could use him as some kind of like a trade chip. Maybe bring in some kind of pitching. At this point, I don't think Duran doesn't have a whole lot of value. If you go to baseball trade values, the best baseball trade simulator out there, I've been saying this now for 3 years, 2.5 years now since I started the channel. And only now people are starting to really pick up on this site. Man, oh man. You know, people just sleeping on baseball trade values. What can you say? But with Duran, as of right now, he's got a $5.9 million value. You know, could there be a team out there? Again, Bloom is going to look for value. You know, he's going to look to try and buy low on guys because you don't want to really be giving up anyone in this farm as of right now, unless it's a guy you feel comfortable moving on from to where it can help out the major league team, you know, now. Like, I could see him being comfortable moving on from Duran, you know. With a Kadeni Rafaela, he really flew through the minor leagues this year. Could you maybe see him as like a sell high kind of a candidate? Kadeni Rafaela, as of right now, he has a $15.1 million value. It can go as high as $18 million. So, you know, could you sell high on him? He really did come out of nowhere. But that'd be interesting. You got some guys that you can deal. But, you know, in the end, like I've already said here, I don't see him making any big splashes. I see him just looking. He's going to buy low as much as he can. He's going to try and preserve the farm as much as he can. I definitely think he could make some trades to where if you look at, you know, maybe some bad contracts, you know, maybe he could take on a bad contract, you know, from a team to help out maybe the major league level, maybe get some prospects in return. That's what he's going to do. He's going to try and add value, and he's going to try and keep beefing up the farm system as much as he can. They will put a competitive team out on the field, or at least they're going to, I think, try. But I don't see him doing anything crazy. I do think you need to try and bring back Bogaerts. And I think Bogaerts will listen. I mean, this is the only team that he's known. I don't see a better option. Like, while I am sitting here talking about, you know, Colton Wong and maybe some of these other guys you could slide in at second. You can move Story over to short. To me, Bogaerts is the best option. I just don't see. If you had something else, sure. But right now, at least as of right now in this moment of time, I think you got to try and bring Bogaerts back. I mean, I just don't see a better option than that. I think you got to pay the man. I think what it should come down to Bogaerts and what he wants to do. That's what it should come down to. The Red Sox should make a good offer for a contract. Should they go 8 years for Bogaerts? I don't know. I don't know if the Red Sox want to do that. I don't know if they want to really get into these long-term contracts. I think they're okay going 5, 6 years. Maybe I think they would prefer. I mean, if you remember with Story, they were looking at, you know, maybe 4 or 5, right? They ended up going that 6 and then getting some options in there. But with Bogaerts, I could see him looking for a long-term deal to finish out the rest of his career. It's going to be interesting. It should come down to what he wants to do. The Red Sox need to make a goodwill effort for him because at this point, if you want to compete next year without Bogaerts, I think it's going to be really challenging. So, everyone, and also, actually, you know what? One more thing before I do get out of here, because I have mentioned this. One option, if you were to really try and boost this team in other ways, I've mentioned this before, you could maybe look at a deal for Devers. As much as I would love to keep Devers long term, he's in a very similar situation that Mookie Betts was in. Mookie Betts, you know, they ended up trading him. He was a year away from free agency. He's going to be a free agent after next season. So, if we go take a look at the payroll here, Rafael Devers, man, he has one more year of arbitration, and then he's going to be a free agent. I think if you're not going to sign this guy to a long-term deal, I think you need to explore trading him. You need to get value out of him while you still can. They traded Mookie Betts in the offseason. I think the same thing could happen to Devers. Could you imagine a team next year without Bogarts and Devers? If you don't have Bogarts and Devers on the team next year, you might as well just say sayonara to 2023. I mean, at that point, it would be tough enough losing Bogarts. Then you can lose Devers too. I mean, you pretty much can just punt the season at that point. You can pretty much punt the season. I don't know, man. But the way Bloom is operated, I could see him doing it. I mean, because he's looking towards the future. And, I don't know. I would not count out trading Devers. I would love to keep him long term. But at this point, I'm looking at what Bloom is doing and how he's operated in the past, and I could see Devers maybe being a trade candidate. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But everyone, those are my kind of early thoughts. What do we got here? The Twins. They almost no-hit the Royals. Almost, but that got broken up. But everyone, that is all I have. Those are just some early thoughts on 2023 as of right now. We're going to have to dive into this more in the offseason. There's just so much to talk about when it comes to these offseason plans. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Red Sox. The 2023 Red Sox, at this point, I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know. I think there's a very real chance you could see not a great team for the Red Sox next year, at least on paper. I think there's definitely a chance of that. But, we'll have to wait and see. But also, if you did miss my announcement, I just want to say it one more time. The new co-host of this show will be Mr. Ellis Burks. Again, very excited for it. Ellis Burks will be joining the show. He has officially signed on to be the new co-host of the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. Ellis Burks, just a class guy in the city of Boston, started his career with the city of Boston, ended his career with the Red Sox, getting a World Series ring. You got to love it. Ellis Burks joining the show as a co-host for the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. Everyone, don't forget about our sponsors for tonight's show. Bet online, use the code BLEAV50, BLEAV 50. You get a 50% welcome bonus. Don't forget about my code for SeatGeek, HIDE. You get $20 off on your first purchase. And Prize Picks, a 100% deposit match if you use my code GINGER. Everyone, I'm going to get out of here. I cannot talk. It's time for bed. I'm going to get out of here. Be on the lookout on the channel for this week for possibly some hot takes. So start thinking of some hot takes either tomorrow night or Thursday night. Not quite sure, but definitely be on the lookout for the next episode of the BLEAV in Red Sox podcast. Everyone, have yourself a great night. I appreciate you stopping by, whether you're on here on YouTube or you're listening to wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Everyone, have a great night, and I'll talk to you next time.